Good morning, I'm Father X. Dads need to be mentally prepared for everything that'll be thrown at you in family court. So in this episode, I'll help prepare you mentally and emotionally for what's coming. Watch it to the end because I'll share with you how I mentally prepared myself for victory. A child custody trial will be one of the most stressful experiences of your life. To make it worse, you're doing this in a hostile environment where you know the judge is biased against dads. The judge doesn't care about the kids. And the judge is ignoring all common sense in order to rubber stamp the mother for custody. If you're watching this video, you probably already recognize this. I went through it myself. I hope you and your child's mother can happily agree on a parenting arrangement outside of court and co-parent to raise your child. But if you have to go to court and fight for custody, and especially if you're in a high conflict relationship, then you're walking into a war. And here's the adversity you'll face. You'll miss your kids deeply. You used to put your kids to bed every night, but now they're gone for weeks at a time. Second, some of your friends won't be able to support you emotionally because they don't understand the emotional burden of a child custody trial. Third, your friends and family might tell you family court is biased in favor of mothers. You don't stand a chance, and you should just quit. You'll be swamped with paperwork you just don't want to do, and you'll have hard deadlines where you don't have the energy to do things on time because you're in a fog. You'll have court dates you don't want to attend because you know only bad things will happen. The judge will ignore what you say and rule against you. You'll wonder why you should even bother fighting against the tidal wave of family court. Based on everything I'm teaching you, you have a lot of work to do to collect your evidence and prepare your testimony. It'll feel impossible. You'll feel helpless because you're running out of money and you have to keep paying for lawyers, court costs, and more. And you might be bleeding cash from alimony or child support payments. And having no money left over might stop you from proceeding with your custody case. But to counter all this adversity, you have your energy, passion, and determination. You know what you're fighting for, and nobody in that courtroom can match your energy and passion. So let's talk about 9 different concepts to help you understand the reality that you're living in from an emotional and mental perspective. You're in a war, and you have to get your head in the right space. First, recognize all the emotions you'll feel. There will be negative feelings: fear, hopelessness, stress, anxiety, panic, sadness, depression, anger, resentment. On any given day, for my entire 3-year custody battle, I myself felt any combination of these feelings. But there will also be positive feelings: passion, energy, endurance, perseverance, tenacity, willpower, patience, determination, and love for your kids. I don't think there's any way to avoid the negative feelings because they're natural and justified based on your situation. But here's the trick. I was angry at my judge and the mother for everything they were doing to me and my son. But I didn't just sit home alone in anger, stewing over this. My anger and fear created enormous amounts of energy. I used that energy to fuel my perseverance and determination to make things right and get custody of our son. There will be days when you're overwhelmed with fear, anger, or stress. Try to make sure there are more days where you use those feelings to drive you in your purpose. When you have to move mountains, it's easier when you have purpose. That purpose can drive you to the ultimate heights of perseverance, tenacity, and determination. And nobody in that courtroom can match the fire in your belly. That leads us to our second concept. What's your purpose? What are you fighting for? My primary reason for fighting was because I wanted to be an active father in my son's life and not just a weekend parent. Also, I knew I was a better parent than the mother. I couldn't live with her anger, violence, threats to end her own life, and extreme mood swings. There was no way I was going to allow my son to be forced to live in that environment, to force him to endure that psychological damage. You're also fighting to avoid missing your child's daily life. For example, if you only see your kids on alternate weekends, when your kids are 5 to 12 years old, They go to school every day, and you miss out on the conversations about what happened in school that day. The next weekend you're with them, if you ask them what happened last Tuesday, they'll have no idea. They forgot because they're just 6 years old. You're fighting for 50-50 or primary custody because you don't want that to be your reality in the future. You're fighting so when your kids turn 21 years old, for example, they'll say, "I love my dad and he was always a big part of my life." When your kids turn 16, 19, or 25, you don't want to say it was too difficult for you to overcome the court's bias, and that's why you weren't a regular part of their life. You want to say that the reason you got to hang out with them during all their key moments in life is because you fought for that and defeated the court system. You're fighting because life changes, and the mother might choose to move away with your kids. I had to fight because the mother made constant threats that she was going to move out of state with our son, at which point I would disappear from his life. The mother often threatened to remove me from our son's life. Do you understand your purpose now? That's what you're fighting for. And that brings us to our third concept. You can't fight later. You have to fight now. I had to continue fighting during those early years because the iron was hot. The mother and I had just separated, and all the issues around her psychological illness, anger management problems, violence, and threats to end her life were all current and needed to be heard in court now. If I quit and just gave her custody, it would have been much harder to come back in 2 years and claim she was unfit to be a parent. Because if she was so unfit, then why did I just hand her custody of our son? It would undermine my entire case. This is why you're fighting right now, not later, even if it's overwhelming. The fourth concept is, we all know courts are gender biased against dads. We know judges are lazy and incompetent. We know too many judges make decisions to maximize child support, regardless of the best interests of the child. But that's not going to change overnight, so you need to fight despite these obstacles. Many dads get overwhelmed and quit. I have no doubt the system is designed to make you quit, but I'm not interested in failing, and neither are you. We're going to overcome those obstacles. Because, my brother, I'm telling you that your enemy, the family court judge, is weak. The judge, lawyers, and mother all use the stereotype that mothers get default custody, and it makes them lazy. They don't apply intelligent thought about what the actual facts are, or what's actually best for your child. The judge ignored everything I said for 2 years. Knowing this, I created my strategy and called it Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This meant that when I finally testified after 2 years, I testified for 28 hours and bombarded my judge with facts and evidence. My judge had no idea what was coming. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And I left my judge with no choice but to give me primary custody. The fifth concept you have to understand is, you have to unscrew yourself. When you go to court and the judge gives the mother default temporary custody, usually those temporary orders just become permanent later. So you're screwed. You have to unscrew yourself. The first key word is you, because only you can unscrew yourself. None of these people in court care about you, and they'll make no effort to help you. They just want to churn through your case. You stand alone. Don't expect anybody to help you, not even your lawyer. If somebody does help you, consider it a blessing, but never rely on other people. The second key word is unscrew. If you're screwed, you might spiral towards anger, depression, hopelessness, and you may even consider self-deleting to end it all. Those are all normal human reactions to an overwhelming situation. However, you need to actively unscrew yourself by preparing your case effectively. Focus on that. I know it's hard, man. It's really hard. These were the darkest days of my life. Always think, what would Rocky Balboa do? We all saw the Rocky movies, right? Rocky was my guiding light because when things got really hard, I thought about, what would Rocky do? And he would never quit, no matter how many blows he took. So if you got knocked down in court, listen to what Rocky's trainer, Mickey, told him. Get up and fight one more round. I didn't hear no bell. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Father X loves you. With that said, the sixth concept you have to understand is that you can stand alone against a superior force. You probably think you're alone because the judge, police, prosecutor, the mom's lawyer, and children's services are all working against you. Yeah, they probably are. And you probably stand alone. So what? You can stand alone. I felt like I stood alone almost every day for 3 years. But I don't need anybody to tell me I'm right for me to know I'm right. Neither do you. You may have friends and allies that stand up for you, and that's a big bonus. But I want you to be mentally prepared for the idea that you'll stand alone, and that's okay. You're doing this for your children, so there's no obstacle that can stop you. Remember your purpose. And you might think you can't stand alone against the superior force of the judge and everybody else in family court. But throughout my series, I teach you that these family court people are incompetent. I tell you that because I never want you to think for a second that they're superior to you or they know better than you. In all honesty, I've never met a more inferior group of people in my life. They're not better than you. The seventh concept for you to be aware of is your energy and passion during times of crisis. There's more energy, passion, and tenacity in your soul than you realize. I had it somewhere in me. It all came out during this 3-year trial process. You have mostly the same DNA I have. Therefore, I know you have the same energy in your soul that I did. Tap into that endless energy. Focus. All this family court nonsense is frustrating and grueling. But realize there truly is no limit to the amount of energy you can produce to protect your children from family court's incompetence and bias. If you got your butt kicked in court today, then tomorrow's another day, and you can fight more. Family court is a stubborn machine working against you. It's a battle of your willpower versus theirs. The eighth concept for you to be aware of is that it'll take willpower, patience, and tenacity to outlast the constant rejection in family court. And it'll require more of these than you've ever had to display in your entire life. It's especially required when a judge continues to rule against you for no legitimate reason. Child custody cases are stressful for both the mother and the father. But I think it must be easier for the mother when she gets rubber stamped by the judge for no reason. She gets automatic wins, validation, and negotiating leverage. Whoever starts off with primary custody has an easier road. Sometimes that's the father, but most commonly it's the mother who starts with the advantage. As a father, you have to be prepared to outlast the emotional beating you get from the court's constant rejection. It's obviously unfair and gender biased, but there's no magic button to force a judge to be competent and neutral. So you have to play the long game. Use your willpower, tenacity, and patience to outlast the judge. The final concept to understand is that a child custody war is a marathon, not a sprint. Many women know how to use the family court system, and they plan ahead for it. In your case, did she file for divorce or a restraining order and catch you off guard? Did she present a better case on day one because you weren't ready? It happens to many men. You have to accept that and take that loss. But also recognize this is a marathon and not a sprint. You need to catch up and learn the system. As I'm teaching you, play the long game. In episode 10A, we discussed how the trial process starts when custody petitions are filed in court by either parent. That first day in court is crucial because you want to start with 50-50 or primary custody. But if you start off as the non-custodial parent on that first day, then you have a series of 15-minute court appearances, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks, for many months or years, all leading up to a trial. During these 15-minute appearances, don't expect any intelligent thought about your child. Don't expect the judge to hear any testimony or evidence. Testimony and evidence are supposed to wait until the trial. The judge will likely just continue rubber stamping the mother during all these brief appearances in court. As I showed you in episode 7D, expect the court to just keep ruling in favor of the mother on every minor issue. I have no doubt that those brief appearances for months or years are designed to frustrate you, to make you believe the court will just rule in favor of the mother, and to make you quit before trial. Here's a tip. Don't spend all your money during the 15-minute court appearances. You'll need money for the trial. And the trial is where you finally have a chance to testify and introduce facts and evidence about what's best for your child. But it's a marathon. You need to endure all of this until you get to trial, when you can finally introduce your judge to reality with your testimony and evidence. Prepare yourself mentally for a long battle and many frustrating days. Use every day and every week to keep laying the foundation as to why you should be a 50-50 or primary custodial parent. Remember, the ultimate goal is the final order of custody, where you want 50-50 or primary custody. Keep your focus on the ultimate goal. I lost almost every battle in court except for the final order of custody. I persevered and outlasted everything family court threw at me. And I know you have it in you to do the same. Remember, what would Rocky do? In the next episode, I'll give you more tips about how to endure the emotional chaos that's coming your way in family court. These might be the darkest days of your life. They were for me. I'm making these educational videos to help you navigate this nightmare. If you subscribe, you can get updates when I post more videos. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends who are in a similar situation. Please support this channel so I can make more videos. You can donate via my YouTube channel's About page using PayPal or Venmo.